on this computer.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. We are so happy to have you here. We really value your time, and we value this time that we can have with you. We know how busy everyone is this time of year. My name is Jessica Knock. I am the manager of a department called Library Development Services at Yellowhead Regional Library. And I'm here with my colleague today, Laura Peters. And together we are doing a two-part sort of introduction and refresher for our school library staff on YRL services and collection development through YRL. We know that you may be sitting in an office or in a library right now and that you have to come and go. That is why we're recording the session right now, so that you can pick this up at a future date. So we might as well get started. So part one today is sort of a potpourri where we're going to go through, let me get to my next slide here, where we're going to go through fairly quickly quite a number of services for YRL. For some of the services and resources that require a little bit more in-depth look, we'll take some time and do that. So this is an overview of the next hour or so. I'm guessing we won't even take an hour, but it just sort of depends on the types of questions that you have and where you want me to go. I loosely structure these things, but we'll have lots of time to dive more deeply into things if you need to. Of course, part two next week, we will have Laura taking the reins on the training, and I'll be doing backup for her, where she's going to do a deep dive into collection development. So she's going to look at how you get your money through YRL, how you spend that money, and how you can choose, or resources that you can use to choose some resources for your library over the course of the year. So if that all sounds good, that's great. I want to make one more introduction. We have another colleague from our department joining us today. Her name is Penelope Dolphin. Penelope is a library tech who just joined us last week, and although a lot of her work will be with public libraries, she's joining us today so she can learn a little bit about the types of services that we offer to school libraries as well. So awesome to have you here, Penelope. There's a Q&A box that you're welcome to use. Laura will be asking those questions, but because we're such a small group, you're also more than welcome to put your questions or your comments or your explain more or shut up, Jessica, so you're talking too much, into the chat box for us as well. So please make use of that, because we really welcome your comments on this session and on the resources. So we're going to dive right in. I recognize a number of names on the list, and so I'm guessing that most of you already know what YRL is, but I always throw this slide in anyway, just in case we have folks visiting here or coming here who for whom this is their first year in a school library. So Yellowhead Regional Library, we're headquartered in Spruce Grove. I'm actually in Edmonton today. I'm working from home. And Laura's in Spruce Grove, and we serve almost 300,000 Albertans in just over 40 public libraries and just over 40 schools. So we have a lot of libraries that we work with to help them develop their collections and their services, their policies, their governance. Within YRL, we have the department that you'll be working with primarily, which is called Library Development Services, and that's myself, Laura, Penelope, and one other librarian named Christine. But we have two other departments that will sometimes work with you in tech services and in collection and resource management. So it's possible that you'll encounter folks from these departments. The picture here on your screen is only a small fraction of us. There's probably just over 20 of us that work in our headquarter building. But this picture was kind of fun. We just took it last Friday, where we decided we all wanted to get cozy and wear a little bit of flannel to work. So we took a group photo of those wearing flannel. So you can see myself and Laura in the picture there, as well as some of our other colleagues. So just a really quick about library development services. This picture here is a little bit older. At the very back is me and Laura. If it's okay for me to say, probably the tallest and the shortest of the group. in the back, and in the forefront are some interns who were working with us at the time that picture was taken. So it's not our full team, but it just gives you a sense of where we work and what our space looks like. Interestingly, the lady in the forefront on my left, her name is Charlotte Majoran, and she came in as an intern when she was taking her tech diploma through MacEwan, and she had to cut her internship short because she became a school librarian in Toefield full-time, which we're super pumped for her. And she's since moved on to a school library in Sherwood Park. So we have lots of experience working with school library staff on a variety of different levels, including our interns. We provide consulting on a wide variety of library functions. We'll be talking about those in just a minute. And we're your main point of contact for YRL. So questions that come into the building will come to our department first. It's typically us that go out and visit your library, although we do sometimes bring staff along with us from other departments, depending on what it is you need. But it is primarily the four of us who will be serving you, myself, Laura, Penelope, and then Christine, who's unable to be here with us today. And I'm just checking the chat and the questions. I don't see any so far, but again, you're more than welcome to make comments or ask questions or whatever you like in the box. So we're going to dive right into the different types of support that we offer specifically to libraries. And the first is something called curriculum support. So this is really a service that's meant to enhance your collection and align materials and resources along with things that are going on with your curriculum and your school without you having to purchase additional books. So we get requests all the time for a variety of topics, sometimes very specific books, class sets of books, up to 5 is what we'll typically find for you. And we will search all of TRAC, so all of the libraries within our system and beyond, to find copies of those materials or materials that are on the topic that you want and have them shipped out to you. So when they're shipped out, they have, Laura, can you remind me of the loan period for this?
The loan period is, I believe it's 72 days.
Okay,
so it's a couple of months.
Yeah, a little bit longer than your typical loan period, which allows time for delivery to your place, allows time for the teachers and students to use the materials, and then allows time for the materials to be returned without ever having to worry about incurring fines on the materials. So Laura is the primary person who does the curriculum support. Our school librarians make the requests on the topic through our Ask YRL email address. And these on the screen are just a few examples of some of the topics that we have done some searching on. And I know, Laura, you've already been busy with curriculum support this year. Are you able to give us a taste of some of the topics that you've been looking for this year so far?
Oh, absolutely. I've had a really wide, varied amount of requests, and some of them have actually come directly from our teachers. So teachers within the school library or the member libraries that we have. And there's been, because COVID really, was difficult and made reading comprehension, it seems, a challenge for a lot of students. We're getting some requests for material that might be of a lower grade level for some of the students that they have, so that they have a little bit more of a variety to read. And we've had a print disability request that they had a student that had a print disability, was sight impaired, and they needed more large print material for a 12-year-old student. And so we were able to find some options for them to send to them. So it's really quite wide. Novel studies, any kind of subject that quite often teachers will contact the school librarian and say, we need some more books on wheels and pulleys for this particular unit that we're doing. So I'll try to see what I can find, and then we either get it mailed to you if it's a small number of titles, or we send them on a scheduled van run.
Yeah, and I actually have a slide about a little bit more about delivery later on in the presentation today. Thank you, Laura. That the large print for a 12-year-old was a particularly interesting challenge that I think you were able to find some stuff that
I did, and I learned a
that
lot
met
with that
same
question as
need.
well. Yes.
Yeah. All right. The next type of support that we offer is collection support. So of course, we're dedicating a whole hour to selection and purchasing next week with Laura, because there's so many ins and outs. But another huge part of what we do is helping libraries to maintain the collection. And I've actually posted 3 pictures here of 3 recent, fairly substantial projects that we've worked on. The very first picture is at Onaway Elementary School, and this was about mid-weed. This school library was already in great shape, but the school librarian wanted us to come through and pull materials of a certain age, and of course based on how good a shape they were in. The second picture was at Queen Elizabeth Elementary School in Wetaskiwin. And the person in there is my colleague Lena, who works in the tech services department now, but she and I went out and did a full weed of that library. It took several days. We drove out to Wetaskiwin a couple of days in a row, and we significantly reduced that collection. I would say this picture was taken early weed, but our goal with that, or the school's goal with that collection, was actually to remove all books from the top 2 shelves, because it was just simply too high for the young students to reach. And so we removed all the materials from those top 2 shelves. So we not only weeded the collection, but we shifted the full collection so that we had uniform amount of books on each shelf, which always looks incredible and appealing when you walk into the library. And then we did some work to put displays of high interest materials on those top 2 shelves. So they weren't sitting there empty. They were actually options for the school librarian and school staff to display materials. So it was a pretty incredible project. Following up on that project, we went back again with another team and did a full inventory. So it's another piece of the whole collection maintenance, where we work within your integrated library system to inventory all of the items. And what that actually does then is help match what's on your shelf with what's in your integrated library system, so that when you're searching or trying to get a sense of what's in the collection, searching in your ILS is going to be so much easier. The third picture is at Pigeon Lake Regional School, and this is actually a before picture. I was going through my phone and I couldn't find an after picture, which is deeply unfortunate, and I'm going to give Nicole a call there and get her to get some after pictures for me, because this library had a complete overhaul, and very timely too. As you probably recall, there was a rather significant traumatic incident at that school, and that incident actually took place in the library. And so while the renovations were kind of in the works before the incident took place, they were able to complete the renovations, and then Laura and I and our team were able to go in and completely overhaul that collection, so that once again it looked really appealing to the students. They were able to find materials that we got rid of, very old materials, and it just looked like a really appealing space that students would once again not only want to come in just to use the library, but would feel comfortable being in following the incident that happened in that library. So we were really pleased to be able to support the school in that way, not only helping them refresh and update their collection, but to just make that whole space look completely different with the transformation of the collection. So again, this is a before picture, and we pulled out, I would say, Laura, 50 to 75% of that collection. It hadn't been weeded in quite some time.
Yes, I would agree.
And then they actually had all brand new shelves, and you probably can't see, but the shelves in there were quite old. They were bowing under the weight. And so the school division did put in new shelves, and we were able to fill them to about, again, 75% full on each shelf. Right. Do quite a bit of staging, rearrange where some of the collections were, so that, for example, graphic novels were more visible to students when they came in, new books were more visible to students when they came in. Since then, I know that they have purchased some new furniture for that library and some new just sort of lounge pieces, just to make it really appealing for that student population. So wanting to throw this out there as an option for a service that maybe not many libraries know that we offer, but one that we are happy to provide. Before I go on, are there any questions about weeding or inventory?
It's pretty quiet out there so far,
and that's
Jessica.
no worries. Yeah, no worries at all.
I actually have some after pictures that I should send to you. I took after pictures that day.
Laura.
Yes, because we also produced some really colorful signage for them, just because they wanted us to shift things in combine areas. And they needed it made more clear when students were entering the library where to go. So yeah, it looks vastly different now, that's for sure.
Yeah, in that case, we wanted to just really go above and beyond and get some signage for them so that students could quickly get in and use that collection.
Yes, and Jessica, we do have a question.
Oh, okay.
From Candace.
You know what, Candace, you know what, an excellent question. I wish I would have addressed this from the get-go. Absolutely, we'll provide these services for free. Yeah. And that's because your school division is a member of Yellowhead Regional Library. So as part of their membership, they pay a fee to us every year that covers all of these consulting and collection supports. And then that fee also, a per capita, I think it's, I'll have to look it up, but we are talking about it next week. There's 7 cents per, no, it's more than that. Anyway, we'll find that figure for you because it's just not rolling off the tip of my tongue. But a portion of that fee also goes towards your allotment so that you can purchase books through us. So yes, it's all for free. Free, I mean, you paid for it. It's free to the school. But
there's no additional cost for any of these services that we're talking about today or next week.
It's your school division that pays for it, not the individual school. Yeah, thanks, Candace. This is kind of this is a boring slide in that I didn't pop a picture into it. But I did just want to point out that we do offer general consulting support above and beyond sort of that collection piece, which is a huge part of what we do. So we can make technology and space recommendations. In fact, I think, Laura, we're kickstarting a space recommendation consultation with one of our schools here soon. And actually, if we hop back, I'm going to hop back a couple pictures. This brand new beautiful library in Onaway was a collaboration between the staff there at Onaway and the consultants at the time to develop that space and the furniture that goes into that space. So we do space consulting with our libraries, and we do provide very limited integrated library system support. So each school division we know is on a slightly different integrated library system, and all of them are different from the integrated library system that our public libraries use. So we don't run or control your integrated library systems. However, we've learned enough about them over the years, and we learned enough about how to navigate some of those help features that we can do our best to answer questions about your integrated library system. And we also do our best to connect you with folks who from the company of your integrated library system to answer more advanced or in-depth questions. Yes. I know that some school divisions have technicians at the division level that really know a lot about the ILS, some don't. And so we do our best to answer questions, knowing that we're not the experts, nor do we sort of manage that ILS for you. But I do want to throw that out because we have picked up a few tips over the years. And Laura, were you going to add something to that?
We've also made contact with just based on a need in cases where we've been working with some of our school libraries and working on their catalogs, their integrated library systems. And so we found some really great customer service reps from some of those companies, you know, whether it was Follett or there's another one, the other big one that a lot seem to be migrating to, which has escaped me at the moment, or L4U, or but whatever system that you're on, you know, we can also help you even just find somebody with that's from that service provider, and even if it's not within the school division, to answer any questions that you might have.
So the next type of support that we offer is programming support. And I'm going to actually hop out of my slides here in just a moment to show you a little bit more about the kits that I want to talk to you about. So part of the work that we do for our public libraries is provide them with programming kits with equipment that they might not normally want to purchase for their library for programming, or equipment that may be too expensive for them. So some of the examples that I have on the pictures in the slide here include a puzzle kit, a fibercraft kit, and the one on the far right is an electronics teardown kit. So some libraries like to bring in old electronics like old VCRs or Blu-ray players or microwaves and have people take them apart and fiddle with them and learn a little bit more about them. So that kit provides them with some safety equipment and some other equipment to be able to do that. So that's one of approximately 40, maybe more kits that we actually offer to our public libraries, but we want to make them available to schools as well. You can book these just as our public libraries do, and use them as programming in a classroom or in your library if you like as well. So I want to show you really quick how to find the full list and then how to contact us so that you can book one of these kits for use. So just bear with me while I get out of here and open up that page here. So one resource that you might want to jot down real quick is the YRL homepage, yrl.ab.ca. And we keep quite a bit of our services up to date on here. Although we have a different sort of access point for our public libraries, we know our school libraries really want to access these services as well. So we keep our content, such as our kits and the types of consulting we do, up to date on this page. In the section called School Library Services, there's quite a bit here about the things that I'm talking about, and you'll want to click on the link that says Kits. And we have kits in a variety of different categories. Our Indigenous collection kits, for example, were developed to align with K-12 curriculum, so that might be something you want to have a look at. And there's full descriptions of each of them here. Read Alberta kits, I would say they're not my favorite because they're maybe getting a little dated, hey Laura, but they did have Alberta Book Award winners in those kits. The Storytime and Story Walk kits are excellent for those of you who are working in elementary schools, because you can go in and have a look at Storytime kits on a wide variety of themes. Maybe just click on the kits brochure here. We're gonna, you know what, Laura, I think we'll have to update this so that we have a listing of our Storytime kits on here. It's good.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
It's good for me to do these sessions from time to time because I can see, oh, we got to update our website.
Indeed. Yes.
We have them on a wide variety of topics that would be of interest to the probably the Div 1 and Div 2 primarily. So kits full of 10 to 15 books, as well as puppets for those of you who want something a little bit different for story time. Story Walk kits, we have several of those with books that we chose that have universal appeal. And these were developed as part of COVID, where libraries were looking for some outdoor programming, but they've proven to be really popular. And they come with everything that you need to be able to develop a story walk. So allowing people to walk from station to station to read a book outside as they're going through, going on a little hike around the schoolyard or just around the library or that kind of thing. The majority of our programming kits fall under a category called Makerspace kits. And this is really what you will want to explore. And then our list of available kits here. So no pictures, unfortunately, on our website, but very good descriptions about what's available. So do be sure to have a look through this and share this with teachers in your school, because you can book those on behalf of teachers and get them to your schools for classroom or library support. So the best way for you in the schools to book a kit is to actually email kits@yrl.ab.ca, or just use our general email address, AskYRL. That general email address comes to myself, Laura, or Penelope, and we'll be able to ensure that a booking is made for kits. I would say book as far in advance as you can. They're very popular, and people book months and months in advance on some of these kits. So contact us with what you're interested in, maybe the times during the school year that you would like to get them, and we'll hook you up, absolutely. Are there any questions about kits? All right, hopping back here. All right. So the next service that we offer is materials delivery. And these are our lovely and really new pictures that Laura just took of our new delivery vans with our new I would say new-ish logo that's just been added as a wrap. So we're bright and colorful driving down the highways of central East Alberta. Schools are able to request pickup and delivery of items. So this is usually in relation to books that you're sending us for processing. So books that you've maybe purchased at a book fair or at a bookstore or whatever that you want us to catalog and or process to get those books back and forth to your library. So if you have questions about what that is and what that means, that's Laura's session, and she will be defining all of that next week. But for today, just know that we have a system to get materials to and from your library without you having to worry about it. And of course, that's free as part of your membership with YRL. We do sometimes use mail, as Laura had mentioned, if it's just a couple of books, and we pay for the postage to go back and forth from your school. So the best way to arrange those delivery dates, we don't have a consistent delivery schedule for our schools in the way that we do for our public libraries, just because needs are so different. So we arrange those dates on request, and the best way to reach us would be through askyrl@yrl.ab.ca, and we can arrange delivery. Quite often, Laura, I would say when we go to visit a school, we come back with heaps of books.
Yeah, I think it's a guarantee, which is fine.
waiting to be delivered to YRL, and we'll just take them with us in our vehicles too. So
yep, hey, we're there. Why not?
If you know that we're coming along, you can save some materials for us. And it's been really good. I remember one particular big delivery we dealt with, Laura. A graduating student from a high school had donated a whole bunch of YA books that she no longer wanted as she moved out and went to university. And if you remember, that box had been sitting in that library for quite some time. So we were able to help that school librarian first quickly ascertain which ones she wanted for her library. So we did a really quick go through everything. And then we brought them all back to YRL so that they could be processed with their barcodes and their call numbers.
And it was done over the summer, and first thing back to class, we made a delivery. So they had some
shelf ready for
shelf ready items.
So,
that's right.
Yeah. So absolutely. If you guys do get donations like that from students and you're unsure what to do with them, these are the types of consultations that Laura and I and our colleagues can do over the phone with you or over a FaceTime call. If you have, sometimes people just get gluts of books donated and you're just sort of overwhelmed. And we have lots of experience working with those types of donations, and we're happy to just fly through them with you over a FaceTime call or a Zoom call or that kind of thing. So that was a little rabbit hole we went down, I guess, there, Laura. About donations.
All right. It was a good one because it happens.
Yeah, and we've been in enough libraries to know that it's those donations that can be really overwhelming, and they just pile up on the back desk. And
exactly.
All right. So the next resource that I want to go into in a little bit more depth are the e-resources that are available through your public library in your town or your city that you're from, as well as some e-resources that we have recently purchased for schools only that we're quite excited about. So let's start first with the options that are available through your public library. I'm just going to hop out of here. And you should see actually a page for Spruce Grove Public Library. Did that show up on your screen, Laura?
Yes.
Okay. So before I dive in, I'll talk to you a little bit about what I did here and how I got here and how you too can get there. So if each of you are in a town or near a town that would likely have a library that is part of Yellowhead Regional Library, which means that with your public library card or with the teachers, if they have a public library card, or if students have a public library card, They have access to over 30 databases through their public library. The set of databases is the same, whether it's a tiny town in, you know, Breton, or it's Spruce Grove or Leduc. These resources are available to all public libraries across YRL. And the reason that I'm bringing them up to date is because there's some really great resources in here that are super relevant for schools and for teachers. So it's good for you to know about this, so you can promote it to teachers, you can promote it to students who are doing research, and just a great access to up-to-date resources. The other reason it's good to know about this is because, two other reasons it's good to know about this is you've probably heard by now that the government of Alberta pulled its funding for its list of K-12 e-resources across the province. So that suite of databases that we had access to for, gosh, well over 20 years, that was funded by the provincial government, was pulled out. Yeah. And so we know across the provinces that schools are scrambling a little bit to be able to get access to e-resources. And the other reason this is so good is because we know that schools aren't updating their nonfiction collections to match the curriculum. There's good reasons for that. It's very expensive, and e-resources, when you can get access to them, are going to be probably your best alignment with you know, the curriculum that's being taught, for sure. And it's really expensive. I'm sure that if you've gone to look at an up-to-date print set of encyclopedias, like they still exist, people still buy them, that would eat up your entire budget for the whole year. So it's just good to know what's out there and what's available. So we're starting with the public library. I started with the Spruce Grove Public Library. It's just the one that I hop to when I need to access e-resources through Yellowhead Regional Library. But I would encourage you to go to your own public library. The pages are going to look exactly the same as what I'm showing you here today. And that's just because we prepare it and we pull it together for all of our libraries. So what I'm showing you today, despite it being Spruce Grove, is totally applicable. And you will see on that page a link that says e-resources. And that's how I got to this page here today. There's about 30 plus e-resources on here, lots which might be appealing to you. So the A to Z Food America for foods courses. I know that there are some social studies classes here in Edmonton and across the province that are using Ancestry for research and just some genealogy work. That's a lot of fun. Solero is a database that is aligned specifically with the K-12 curriculum in Alberta, and there are practice tests and homework help that are really helpful for teens. This would have been one of the databases that the provincial government had at one time funded for students, but now our students can get them through the public library. Teen Book Cloud is an online collection of teen materials, but I would recommend it to you as a school librarian too, as a way to just do some recommending. If a teen comes in and just says, oh, what should I read next? This might be a nice place to go and help them find something. Tumble Math is another great kid-related resource. Bear with me as I browse through this list because I want to point out a few more on here. You'll probably see other resources on here that you're like, ah, ding, ding, this is totally helpful for this teacher or that class. Laura, you were thinking about Sela and Nels as resources for that student. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, actually, if could you you might have to sign in to Sela.
I'm signed in.
I'm not sure if it'll pop up on the main page, but
okay.
what they have is a program for educators to participate in or to register for, and there's no cost to this program. And what it does is it helps to serve students and educators in schools that have print disabilities or sight impairments. And what it'll do is help you find materials that they might have in their own collection. And then I'm not 100% sure how it works in that I don't know if they ship. I would assume they probably ship the materials to you, what the borrowing periods are and that kind of thing. But it seems really extraordinary. It was something that I was encouraging the school librarian that was looking for those large print materials because especially for materials that not only, like a tangible book, like a book you can hold in your hand, as well as e-resources in many cases, especially for kids in your public library, they're not always easy to find. There's lots of large print material for adults, but there isn't for children and teens. So they would have a really extensive catalog, I imagine, that would be of great benefit to any school. So if you have any kids in your school that are facing these challenges, you might want to check out Sella.
Thank you, Laura. All right, I'm scrolling. So Frontier Life has been used with the social studies curriculum because it offers primary resources for Canadian history. Those are notoriously difficult to get a hand on if you are not attached to a research library, university library. So this is a great way to for social studies teachers to access primary resources online. I'm going through this pretty quickly here. Novelist and Novelist Plus were two more that I wanted to talk to you about. These are what we would call recommending resources. So you can use these databases to find titles of books on particular topics or themes or things that kids are interested in reading. These are used by reference librarians and public libraries all the time. People think we as librarians read every book and know every book, and we don't. What we do have are access to tools like Novelist that we can quickly search and find the person's next great read. So if you have a public library card, this is a great resource for you as a school librarian because you can use it to find new reads for your students. So you might find something great. That thing might be in your collection, or you can purchase it, or you can borrow it through the public library and get it to the kids to read. So those were some of my highlights that I wanted to
Jessica, can I just make a point about Novelist as well? Something that I found it is a priceless tool that both of those e-resources have to offer is, and I know that both public and school libraries are often faced with this question: what age group is this for? Especially when it comes to like graphic novels, for example. And that's one of the beautiful things about Novelist, especially plus K8, is it tells you what reading level it is appropriate for, as well as grades and or ages. So if it's something that's really kind of on the fence, is this young adult? Is this juvenile material? They use their expertise to share that kind of information. So if you're ever in need, please check out those resources. They will tell you.
Point, Laura. Yeah, if your resources are really finite and you're literally trying to decide between this book or that book, and you want to get a sense of whether or not those books are appropriate for the age groups.
Yeah, super valuable for that. Yes.
Yeah, thanks for that. And then, of course, I won't go into them too deeply, but on here, of course, is Hoopla, which gives public patrons access to audiobooks, ebooks, and lots of movies. And then Overdrive, which gives access to a full range of popular magazines. Lots of our public libraries are doing away with purchasing print subscriptions to many magazines because their patrons can get them through Overdrive, as well as audio and ebooks as well. So although these aren't school-specific resources, I think they're just a valuable tool in the school librarian's tool belt to know about, especially because you're working in communities that have access to this stuff through the public library. So if you don't have a public library card, run on down there today and pick one up so that you can log into these resources and check them out. Work with your public librarian or your public library manager to get your kids signed up for cards. Work with them to get the teachers signed up for cards, because in the absence of provincially funded K-12 online resources, this is your next best bet for e-resources. So the next set of e-resources that I want to talk to you about are options through your school. So here we go. So let me just step back a little bit. When that announcement came from the government that they were no longer funding K-12 resources, we know that schools across the province were scrambling. And it happened, I think, mid-school year. No, it happened in the summer, but it happened kind of before schools were able to research what databases they should research which databases they wanted to purchase and subscribe to. And so what we and a few other regional libraries did was we purchased high quality research databases, or not purchased, but we got a subscription to them just for that interim period until school divisions could figure out what it was that they wanted to do to offer e-resources to their students. And in Yellowhead, we purchased access to 3 databases: an elementary, middle, and high school database that is access to really high quality nonfiction research resources. So I like to think of it as an encyclopedic type resource. So access to this, we sent out, when we announced this earlier this year, we sent out a letter to all schools, school library contacts, and school principals with an introduction to what this was, some help sheets to get started on it, although I find it's really easy to navigate. And then the school specific ID, URL, ID, and password to get in. I'm curious, if you don't mind, for those of you here today, would you be able to type in the chat whether or not you've heard of this, and if you have the access information to these Gale products? I'm just curious to kind of get a sense, just trying to get a sense of what people know about this. And Laura, I know you and I are planning another round of promo for this. Once we have our school contact list and our school principal list up to date, we're just in the midst of doing that. We're going to be sending out some reminder emails about these resources so that you can access them. Okay, so Leanna said she heard of it but never looked into it. That's no problem. I'm really glad you heard of it. Thank you. I'm going to hop in really quick here. I want to continue my session. So I'm logging in through Alder Flats Elementary School. I have a full listing of the IDs and passwords for all the schools, and this was the AI described it. And this is what it is. It's a database that's easy for students to search and know, and teachers to know that they're going to have high quality information that they can use for research on whatever topic it is that they're looking at. So, you know, I haven't really dived into the elementary school database, Laura, before. I've been spending a bit of time in the high school one. This one's really neat. So anyway, I want to make sure that you know of this, and please watch your inbox here in the next couple of weeks where we do a little bit more promotion around this to you as our school contacts, and to the principals of each school as well. We want to make sure that you know about it. Unfortunately, our subscription will expire at the end of December. So we had a 1-year subscription, and there's no plans in the works right now to renew it. So definitely get your teachers using it now, because it's a great resource. And hopefully your school divisions have now had a chance to sort of assess the situation in terms of online e-resources, and are starting to make some decisions around what kinds of e-resources are going to be most appropriate for the schools in your division. All right. Any questions about e-resources? That was a super whirlwind tour, I know, and I do apologize for that. But as library people, I know we all like to explore these sorts of things at our leisure. And so what I hope to do is to sort of raise your awareness to them, let you know they were here, and that if you have questions about them or you can't access them for some reason, that we're here to help you do that.
Yes.
Okay. So the next service that we provide are workshops, trainings, and connections. So things like today's workshop and next week's workshop. So we do offer regular workshops for YRL public libraries, public and school libraries, which you are always more than welcome to attend. We do offer these school specific sessions at the beginning of the year. And I would say, Laura, that the majority of our training or our onboarding with with our school library contacts happens one-on-one as they need it. So
Yes.
when we know that someone new starts, we'll work with them, talking with them about some of the things we looked at today and we'll look at next week. Our school visits are just wonderful opportunities to work with the school contacts on a variety of different things. So in addition to these workshops, we're more than happy to work with you one-on-one. The workshops are announced via our newsletter, our weekly newsletter. And if you haven't yet subscribed to that, Laura, I think we're planning on, once you have your list all done, we're planning on kind of a big welcome to the new school year type email with
Yes,
to some of these resources. So
most definitely.
we
Yes.
want to make sure that you're signed up for our weekly newsletter, which offers access to our workshops and that kind of thing. We do school visits. The types of school visits we primarily do are for, updating collections, as we talked about, but we will do school visits to provide workshops for staff. So for example, if you wanted an hour-long hands-on workshop to get down and dirty into using some of those e-resources we looked at, for example, one of us would be more than happy to do that. If you wanted us to attend a staff meeting and provide a presentation similar to the one that I just did today to let teachers in your school know what's up, we would be happy to provide you with something like that. So we're really willing to work one-on-one with schools to meet their needs in terms of what they want for workshops, training, and support, not only for you as the school contact, but also for all of the staff. We offer an annual conference. It's free, and for the last couple of years, it's actually been online as well. This year's conference is being held on October 6th and 7th, and it's called Stronger Together. And we have a stream for school libraries every year. Because we have so many school libraries as a part of our region, as well as other regions that we partner with to put on this conference. So it's definitely worth your time to check it out. And see if you can attend some of the school-related sessions that are happening. There is lots of support province-wide from other school library staff, and I put a hashtag there. There's an Alberta school library community that's just kind of started up in the last year. I found out about it actually through a presentation at the Stronger Together conference last year. Two school librarians in Calgary have started this, and they use the hashtag ABSchoolLLT as a way to connect on Twitter, and they ask each other questions on Twitter, post successes at their libraries on Twitter, and they're committed to using that hashtag so that any school librarian across the province can connect with them. The other thing that this group has just started, and I think it's really just getting going, is they've created a division of the Library Association of Alberta for Alberta School Library Technicians and Alberta School Library Contacts. So another way to connect. So you can check out the Library Association of Alberta website if you want to learn a little bit more about that. And finally, I've mentioned this email address quite a few times throughout this presentation, but the Ask YRL at yrl.ab.ca is your #1 email to connect with us because it comes to myself and Laura and Penelope. And if we're not able to answer your question, we will direct that question to someone within our organization who can get an answer to you right away. So please make use of that email address to connect with us and ask what you need for your schools. And with that, I'm going to close off and just ask if there's any questions or comments before we sign out. Feel like we should have some waiting music, Laura.
Right. I could
I'll
sing,
stop sharing my
but you don't
screen
want that.
here.
One thing I did want to mention about one of the e-resources that is available from your public library website is the Ancestry Library Edition.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is that if any of your students or your staff were going to use that, they would have to actually be physically present in the public library itself. They can't access that database outside of the library. So it's very popular, but that's the stipulation that goes along with it. So if the kids want to use it, yeah,
opened it up.
they did.
They have the technology to be able to open it up for anybody, because they did it for 2 years during COVID.
Yeah.
You know,
but
it's a sneaky little ploy on their part, because all of us who got addicted to it when it was free now have to buy subscriptions so that we can
it's
work
very
on it.
true. It's very
Yeah.
true. Yes. Yes.
I don't see any more questions in the
Nope.
chat, and
It's
that's
definitely
just fine.
quiet.
Yeah,
I just wanted to mention to Leanna, we haven't forgotten about you. I was going to touch base with you very soon about, and we've touched upon it today as well, but just getting that kit information out to your teachers so that they can start possibly booking some kits that they might want throughout the school year. And we also need to schedule that visit to come out and do
yeah, we
a
owe
little
you a
weed.
weed.
So yeah, so see, we've
Yeah.
already got some schools in sight for
Yeah,
the semester.
absolutely.
Indeed.
All right, thank you everyone for joining us today.
All right, and hopefully we'll see you next
again
week.
next week for
Yeah.
ordering. And if not, best of luck with the school year. You know who we are now. You know where to find us. Let us know. Oh, Candace says my chat isn't working. Thank you so much. That came into the question.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank
happy
you,
to have you
Candace.
here.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Oh, thank you. Have a great day.